ways. I've been balling for the moment, but can't sight the better days. You fell off and now you lost the shit that you was just a phase. I became this on my own, no, this is not how I was raised.
Got a good one today. Rel Chapters Podcast, relacademy.com for all of your stuff that we can do, how we can help you with basketball. Check us out on all the social media platforms. But today, I want to talk about what is good competition. Because I hear it so much, my kid needs better competition. Want to play better competition. What does that mean? Flat out, that means kids who are going to push you to be better than what you are, right? Or make you get to the standard of what you could be, right? So like you have potential, but you just don't play hard, just to keep it simple. Something like that. Talented player, don't play hard. You can get with certain kids, you can get with certain groups, you can get with certain competition that is going to help bring it out of you to make you want to play harder, make you have more passion. That is what good competition means. What most people try to lump good competition into is just like more talent, right? So I want to play with all the kids who run the jump the highest and the kids who can dribble the best. That is usually what people roll up better competition into. But I've said this so many times, especially nowadays where everything with youth basketball is all about the branding and the marketing, so it's got to be elite and exposure and all this shit, right? That's how they get you to show up. So what happens is by nature, the best, most talented, the ones with the most skill and the ones with the most athleticism as youth players, they are the ones who end up flooding these type of exposure and, type of events, right? They naturally go there because they view themselves as elite and they want to go to what they deem as the elite thing. But take all the most talented and, most skilled and most athletic players in the entire country in middle school, right? Well, the statistics tell us that only 3% of kids are going to get to go play any level of college basketball. So even when you deal with the best young kids, that number is really skewed. It's worse than that because that number is based off the kids that actually play in high school. I don't know what the statistic number is on this, but I know that the majority of kids who are on your 5th grade basketball team will literally not even play high school basketball, whether they get quit or whether they get cut or quit or whatever. They're not even going to be there. So the number from youth is literally less than 1%. I don't know how they would come up with that number, but if you just think logically, it would be less than 1%. So take even the most talented youth players that you know, even the most athletic that you know, and put them into that bucket, it's probably still less than 3%. Depending on how young we're talking. But the point being is people think I need to go where these talented kids are because that's better competition. That is not true. Just because a kid runs faster than you or jumps higher does not mean that they're going to make you play better basketball, because basketball is not just running and jumping. It's talking on defense. It's reading a screen. It's knowing how and when to use your skill. It's being in a help position. It's helping. It's hedge and recover. It's boxing out. It's sprinting out in the lane when you don't have the ball on a fast break so you can try to get ahead to get a layup or a catch and shoot. It's all these other things. And most of those are intangible things because that is the key right there, the intangible part. Take all those kids, put them all at that event. They all can dribble, pass, shoot, run, jump. Okay, you telling me they're all just going to go be scholarship Division I basketball players? Hell no, of course not, right? Why? Most of them have the ability. All those kids that you put in that gym, they pretty much have the ability, the potential to be. But only like 1% of them will be because of the intangibles. So when you wrap your mind around that, you start to realize that, okay, competition relates to like moving up in levels, relates to me getting better. If we are not doing things that make me a better valued basketball player, not a valued jumper, not a valued scorer, not a valued runner, not a valued slider, those are just one individual little assets or attributes or skills. You need a bunch put together because basketball is a 5-on-5 game, and there's a whole lot of pieces within each play that make you stop a team from scoring or help your team score. So you need a bunch of shit. You need a lot of stuff. So to just bowl it in, to roll it into one thing and just say, I want to go play with these kids. They're better competition because they all dribble the ball better or they have better footwork. That's ridiculous. You would be better off. Listen when I say this. It's going to go one ear and out the other because you don't want to hear it. Listen when I say it. You would be better off playing with less talented, less athletic, less skilled kids who at least play the right way, who do talk on defense, try to compete, try to win at all costs, make the right plays, understand when and when not to shoot, understand when and when not to use a certain dribble, actually help on defense, box out, try to run after every loose ball and a rebound. You'd be better off playing with those kids who are not talented and not skilled or whatever than just going to these events or any place where it's a whole bunch of kids who are, look way older than their age and can run and jump out of the gym, but have no intangibles, have a bad attitude, have a fucked up shooting form, but shoot a ton, take contested shots when they shoot 8% from three. Like, that is not helping. That's not good competition. It's not good competition. Now, what is better about those kids, because there's definitely something that's better about those kids, and it's the raw. So that means their highlights are going to be much higher than the highlights of a kid who's not extremely talented. They're going to be able to pull off dunks in games to where these other kids can't. They're going to hit step back 3-point game winners with a hand in their face when another kid can't. But what people don't realize is there's like less than 1% of those kids who can do those things and are actually going to go off to be the scholarship player and have the intangibles and are coachable and understand like what this whole thing is about. The majority of those kids are just fucking stupid. They're just young, immature kids. And all they want to do is show up and post a picture online. They're not really hoopers. They're not really in this thing to grind. They wouldn't rather go to a small Division III school that no one has ever heard of in the woods because they get to play basketball versus going to like some big school and having fun. Those kids are going to cop out, man. They're not going to be around. They're not going to be around. And if things get tough for them and don't go their way, they're just going to quit. I mean, I've seen it time and time and time again. And I played college basketball. I played Division II and I played Division III. And I was recruited by Division I a little bit. So I've seen all of it. Now as a coach, I've been at Division I practices. I've been in the meetings. I've been in the coach staff strategic meetings, the film sessions. I've seen basically all of it. The only thing I can't really speak about is NBA stuff because I don't have a lot of experience as today, August 20 or something, 2024. But for the most part, I've seen it, so I know how this is going to play out. Even on my college team, even on my Division III college team, we had so many kids who are just like these kids that I'm talking about. Could run, jump, had size, could dribble, could shoot, but didn't have the intangibles. And so on paper, they would transfer from Division I schools. It would happen all the time. We'd get Division I transfers coming to a D3. They thought they would dominate. Usually us as the players, we're like, damn, dude, he got to be pretty good, right? Then you'd see, the dude's completely uncoachable, doesn't play hard. He only plays hard when the ball is in his hand. Horrible teammate, never does what he's supposed to do on defense. Just completely uses his raw skill and raw ability to go out there and try to play. And when you're competing against me and a whole bunch of other people who, we're going to use our raw ability plus some extra, you can't compete with us. You got to quit because you don't get in the games. This is what happened with these Division I kids. They transfer to our school. They find out real quick that they're actually not that good. Coach doesn't even put them in the game. Doesn't put them in the starting lineup. He's getting on them. They quit. They leave, transfer, quit. Numerous of them would just quit. My fault. I'm having trouble talking today. Numerous of them would just quit the team and then they'd still be going to school. They would just be at school now. I'd see them going to class. So, I mean, it happens so often. And again, this is just my little experience at my Division III school. I had these experiences, in high school all the way up through. I've seen this over and over again. Because, going back to the point, competition is about making you be better than what you are. So if you want to figure out, hey, what can I need to play with better talent. I need to play with better competition. I need to be pushed. You're a parent. I got to put my kids with better than what we got right now. Your objective is to find the well coached kids. Either they're well coached or they're just natural and they just get it, man. Your objective is to find people who play basketball the right way, and do everything that it takes to be valuable. Because whether you believe it or not, even I'm going to use a Rob Dillingham as a example. Because every time I make these points, people want to bring him up. Because from the outside looking in, they think Rob Dillingham just just does what I'm saying. Just uses talent, plays one-on-one basketball, scores it, doesn't play defense, doesn't care about the other stuff, doesn't have the size, but he makes it work. He shoots bad shots, and he's really good, okay? Even if that was true, you're not Rob Dillingham. You know what I mean? Even if that was true, that's like AI, Rob Dillingham, Kyrie. Not to compare him to those two. I'm just saying, when you're talking about little guys who are just unbelievably talented with the basketball, and basically even if they're the worst defensive player on the team, I think there was a stat, maybe it was 2017, 18, 19, something like that. There was some stat that showed that technically Dame Lillard was the worst defensive player in the league at one time in the NBA. Let's say that's true. That sounds like bullshit, but let's say it was true. He's scoring it at such a high level, averaging 30 a game, shooting 50%. It negates what he is on defense, okay? We're talking about how many people in history can you even name who were that good? So let's not try to compare these people to ourselves. But if you do, let's play with that. Let's play with that for a minute and say we're going to compare ourselves to the Dame Lillards and the Rob Dillinghams. You think Rob Dillingham was at practice at Kentucky with John Calipari every day just bullshitting? You think he wasn't snapping his ass over in the help defense every fucking possession? Or he was getting chewed out or pulled out of the game? You think he wasn't being coached and held accountable to do the little things? Come on, man. Rob Dillingham didn't get to where he is by being an idiot. This kid is a hooper. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there was a time. Maybe he didn't figure it out until he got to Kentucky. Maybe that's when the light bulb went off. But the light bulb has went off in the guy. You understand? So you can't tell me that you're going to play like Rob and you don't play defense because you think because Rob is a scorer and he doesn't have to play defense that he's not playing defense. He's playing fucking defense. Trust me, he's been coached. He's been held accountable. I watched the games. I said this in a social media post one time. I watched the game last season, his freshman year at Kentucky, where I forget what he did. He like blew a help assignment. He blew a help assignment on defense, I think. Calipari visually was snapping out about it on the sideline. I think the next play, he fouls a guy. The next defensive play, he picks up full court and makes a dumb foul, like reaching or something. Fouls a kid 90 feet from the basket. Calipari pulls him out of the game. He was in the game for, it was like 2 plays. It might have been like 3 or 4 because of the offensive possessions. He was in the game for like a minute. Fucked up 2 intangibles, yanked. And that is what people don't understand. Even these guys, they still are held accountable. They still hit a point where they understand what this is about and they have to do it, and they do it. That's what ultimately gets them to the NBA and gives them the opportunity to even be who they are. It's what even gives them the opportunity for a Calipari to put you back in the game and say, okay, now go ahead and do your thing, but you better do what I coached you on. That's what you guys miss. That is higher competition. That's higher competition. You could take a same situation, somebody else on Rob's team, maybe a walk-on who doesn't score at all, doesn't even get in the games, but in practice does everything he's supposed to do and pushes you to do it too. Because if you don't, he's going to take your spot. That is competition. It's irrelevant how many points he scores or what his step back looks like or how he handles it or what type of finishes he can pull off or how high he jumps. That becomes irrelevant when it comes to adding value on the court to win basketball games as a team. And that is where your competition, that's how you should look at competition. It has nothing to do with talent. Now, once you get that solid base under you and you got a group or you yourself have developed all the intangibles and you're a full basketball player, then You could come on top of it and say, okay, now I need to find the athletes and the skilled players that also have these things. Now you're winning. They exist. There's AAU teams out there that are on these circuits that are ranked. Kids are hyped up, and they got basically 5 to 7 kids who are legit. They're all going to play Division I basketball. They all have the intangibles, and they got the athleticism and the skill. They exist. They are the Robs, right? They are these type of kids. You know, that's what you're looking for. But until you get there, what do you don't need to go. You don't need to go try to run and go do something else. You don't need to go find a certain thing out of state. You're tripping, man. They're doing the same thing everywhere. Just like you live in an area and you're like, oh, you look around, all these kids stink, all these kids don't. It's the same thing there too. In the next town over, and the next town over, and the next town over, it's the same shit. There's 1 or 2 rare kids in every city, every area who have it all, you know, or could have it all, or close to having it all. Then, you know, you strike lightning and you're able to get together with all of those people at once. Okay, you know, and that's an amazing thing. That's what these exposure things and high level stuff can provide for you, but it's still so rare. So to think, you know, like that's just your model, you're a fool if you don't have the right mindset and intangibles. That's it, man. You know, in summary, just because they're talented, it does not mean that's good competition for you. Does not mean that that's what's going to make you better. You got to find people who can play and are going to push you to play as well.